The deafening roar of failing engines filled Commander Alex Chen's ears as her survey ship plummeted through the atmosphere of the uncharted planet. Warning klaxons blared, and the acrid smell of burning circuitry filled the cockpit. Alex's fingers flew across the controls, desperately trying to stabilize the craft's descent. Come on, she muttered through gritted teeth, her dark eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching alien landscape below. The ship bucked and shuddered, threatening to tear itself apart at any moment. With a bone-jarring impact, the craft slammed into the ground, skidding across a field of strange, iridescent vegetation before coming to a smoking halt at the edge of a shimmering forest. For several long moments, Alex hung limply in her harness, the only sound her ragged breathing and the hiss of escaping coolant. Gradually, her senses returned, and she took stock of her situation. A quick self-assessment revealed no major injuries, a miracle given the violence of the crash. The same couldn't be said for her ship, however. A cursory glance showed that the Stargazer was beyond repair. She was stranded. With a groan, Alex released her harness and stumbled to her feet. The emergency hatch creaked open, letting in a flood of alien air. She hesitated for a moment, then took a tentative breath. The atmosphere was breathable, if slightly thinner than Earth standard, a small mercy. As Alex emerged from the wreckage, she found herself face to face with a world of impossible beauty. The sky above was a deep indigo, streaked with ribbons of purple and green. Twin suns, one gold and one pale blue, hung low on the horizon. The forest before her was composed of towering crystalline structures that seemed to be a bizarre fusion of plant and mineral. Each tree pulsed with an inner light, casting prismatic patterns across the landscape. Well, Alex said to herself, a wry smile tugging at her lips despite the dire situation, I wanted to make a groundbreaking discovery. Guess I got my wish. Her oar was cut short by a rustling from the crystal forest. Alex's hand instinctively went to the sidearm at her hip as she scanned the tree line. Hello, she called out, her voice steady despite the fear coiling in her gut. Is someone there? A figure emerged from the shimmering foliage, and Alex's jaw dropped. It was unmistakably humanoid, but with subtle alien characteristics that marked it as definitely not human. The being was tall and lithe, with skin that shimmered like mother of pearl. Its eyes were large and almond-shaped, glowing with an inner light that matched the pulsing forest around them. Most strikingly, the alien was undeniably female in appearance. The alien regarded Alex with a mixture of shock and wonder. By the celestial mothers, she breathed, her voice musical and ethereal. It's true, the prophecy. Before Alex could respond, more figures emerged from the forest. All of them were female, varying in height and coloration, but sharing the same otherworldly beauty. They surrounded Alex, their expressions ranging from awe to suspicion to barely concealed excitement. I am Lyra, first guardian of Lumina, the initial alien said, taking a step towards Alex. Who are you, star traveler, and how have you come to our world? Alex straightened, years of diplomatic training kicking in despite her shock. I am Commander Alexandra Chen of the Earth Exploration Corps. My ship malfunctioned, and I crash-landed here. I mean you no harm. A ripple of excitement passed through the gathered aliens at the mention of Earth. Lyra's eyes widened. Earth, the mythical homeworld, truly. She turned to her companions, speaking rapidly in a language Alex's universal translator couldn't quite keep up with. The word prophecy was repeated several times. I'm sorry, Alex interjected, but what prophecy are you talking about? And where exactly am I? Lyra turned back to Alex, her expression a mix of reverence and barely contained joy. You are on Lumina, a world that has long awaited your arrival, Alexandra of Earth. For generations, we have carried the prophecy of the star traveler who would bring renewal to our people. She gestured to the assembled aliens. We are the Luminari, and our civilization faces a grave crisis. Your coming may be our salvation. Alex's mind reeled. This was far beyond the scope of any first contact scenario she had trained for. I'm not sure I understand. How could I possibly be your salvation? Another luminary stepped forward, her skin a deep blue that rippled like the surface of an ocean. I am Naya, lead geneticist of the High Council. The details can wait until we've brought you to safety and tended to any injuries. But know this, Alexandra of Earth, your arrival here is no accident. The fate of our entire species may rest in your hands. As the luminary began to lead her away from the crash site, Alex cast one last glance at the smoking wreckage of her ship. She had a sinking feeling that getting off this planet and back to Earth was going to be the least of her worries. Whatever this prophecy was, whatever role these aliens thought she was meant to play, it was clear that her life had just become infinitely more complicated. With a deep breath, Alex squared her shoulders and followed the luminary into the crystal forest. She didn't know what challenges lay ahead, but she was determined to face them with the courage and resourcefulness that humanity was known for. Little did she know, her greatest test was just beginning. As Alex followed the luminary through the shimmering crystal forest, her mind raced with questions. The alien women moved with fluid grace, their iridescent skin reflecting the pulsing light of their surroundings. Despite her training, Alex found herself struggling to maintain her composure in the face of such otherworldly beauty. I apologize for the lack of proper introductions, Lyra said as they walked. Our excitement at your arrival has made us forget our manners. Alex managed a wry smile. Given the circumstances, I think we can forgive a lapse in protocol, but I still have so many questions. Naya, the blue-skinned geneticist, nodded. And you shall have answers, Alexandra of Earth. But first, we must bring you to the city. There we can tend to any injuries and explain our situation more fully. As they emerged from the forest, Alex's breath caught in her throat. Before them stretched a metropolis that defied imagination. Towering spires of living crystal reached towards the twin suns, their surfaces rippling with patterns of light that seemed to communicate in a language of pure energy. Vehicles that looked like nothing more than spheres of condensed starlight zipped between the buildings. Welcome, Lyra said with pride, to Lumina Prime, the heart of our civilization. As they entered the city, Alex noticed the curious and awestruck gazes of the luminary they passed. All of them were female, she realized, and all regarded her with a mixture of hope and reverence that made her distinctly uncomfortable. They arrived at a grand building that Lyra identified as the Hall of Guardians. Inside, Alex was led to a chamber that seemed to be a blend of medical bay and high-tech laboratory. As Naya began to scan her with instruments Alex could barely comprehend, Lyra finally began to explain. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors achieved a level of genetic mastery that allowed them to eliminate disease, extend our lifespans, and enhance our connection to the living energy of our world, Lyra began. But there was an unforeseen consequence. Let me guess, Alex said, beginning to put the pieces together. It affected your ability to reproduce. Naya nodded grimly. Precisely. Over generations, our population has dwindled. We've maintained our numbers through artificial means, but those methods are failing. We face extinction within a few generations. Alex frowned. I'm sorry, but I still don't understand what this has to do with me, or this prophecy you mentioned. Lyra and Naya exchanged glances. Our most revered oracle foresaw the arrival of a traveler from the stars, Lyra explained. One whose genetic makeup would be the key to restoring our reproductive capabilities and saving our species. The implications hit Alex like a punch to the gut. You think I'm this prophesied savior? That's insane. I'm just a human, not some magical solution to your problems. Not magical, Naya corrected, studying the readouts from her scans with growing excitement. Scientific. Your DNA contains elements we've never seen before, elements that could be the missing piece in our genetic puzzle. Alex stood up, backing away slightly. Look, I sympathize with your situation, but I'm not some breeding stock for your species. I have a life, a mission to complete. I need to focus on repairing my ship and contacting Earth. Lyra's expression softened. We understand your hesitation, Alexandra. We're not asking you to make any decisions right now. All we ask is that you stay and learn more about our world and our plight. Perhaps together, we can find a solution that benefits both our peoples. Before Alex could respond, the door to the chamber burst open. A tall luminary with skin like burnished gold strode in, her eyes flashing with barely contained anger. So it's true, she said, her gaze fixed on Alex. The Star Traveler has arrived. Zara, Lyra said, her tone cautious. We're going to inform the High Council once you'd what? Zara snapped. Hidden her away. Made decisions that affect our entire species without consultation. She turned to Alex, her expression softening slightly. I apologize for the intrusion. I am Zara, head of security for Lumina Prime, and I'm here to ensure that all protocols are followed for everyone's safety. Alex straightened, meeting Zara's gaze. I appreciate your concern, but I assure you, I have no intention of causing any trouble. I'm as surprised by this situation as you are. Zara studied her for a moment, then nodded. Perhaps, but the arrival of an alien on our world, prophecy or not, is a matter of planetary security. I'll need to debrief you thoroughly. Now wait just a moment, Naya protested. Alexandra needs rest and time to process all of this. Your interrogation can wait. As the luminary argued amongst themselves, Alex felt a headache building behind her eyes. She was trapped on an alien world, surrounded by a species facing extinction, who seemed to view her as their last hope. And now, it seemed, she was caught in the middle of some kind of political power struggle. Enough, Alex said firmly, her voice cutting through the alien debate. All eyes turned to her, and she took a deep breath. I understand that my arrival has caused quite a stir, but I'm not making any decisions or submitting to any debriefings until I've had time to rest and gather my thoughts. Is that clear? For a moment, there was silence. Then, to Alex's surprise, Zara let out a small laugh. Well said, Star Traveler. Perhaps you truly are the one we've been waiting for. She turned to Lyra. Find suitable quarters for our guest. We'll reconvene in the morning to discuss next steps. As Alex was led to her new quarters, her mind whirled with the implications of everything she'd learned. She was millions of light years from home, stranded on a planet of alien women who believed she held the key to their survival. And something told her that this was only the beginning of her challenges. Looking out at the shimmering alien cityscape, Alex steeled herself for what was to come. Whatever trials lay ahead, she was determined to face them with the courage and ingenuity that humanity was known for. The fate of two worlds might just depend on it. As the twin suns of Lumina rose, casting their golden and azure light across the crystal spires of the city, Alex found herself standing before the High Council of the Luminary. The grand chamber buzzed with an electric tension, and all eyes were fixed on the human who had crash-landed into their world and their prophecy. Lyra stood beside Alex, a reassuring presence amidst the sea of alien faces. Zara, the head of security, watched from the sidelines with a calculating gaze. Naya, the geneticist, could barely contain her excitement as she presented her findings to the assembly. The Star Traveler's DNA contains elements we've never encountered before, Naya explained, her voice filled with barely contained awe. Preliminary analysis suggests that these unique genetic markers could be the key to solving our reproductive crisis. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Alex shifted uncomfortably, acutely aware of the weight of expectation settling on her shoulders. An elder luminary, her skin a pale, shimmering silver, leaned forward. And what does the Star Traveler say to this? Will she aid us in our time of need? All eyes turned to Alex. She took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. I sympathize with your situation, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. And I'm willing to help in any way I can. But I'm not a geneticist or a miracle worker. I'm an explorer, and my primary goal has to be finding a way to contact my people and return home. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some luminari cried out in dismay, while others argued passionately about the best course of action. Alex noticed a clear divide forming among the council members. Zara stepped forward, her golden skin gleaming as she addressed the assembly. "We cannot pin all our hopes on this outsider," she declared. "We must consider the security implications of her presence. For all we know, she could be the vanguard of an invasion force." "Ridiculous," Naya shot back. "Can't you see? Her arrival is the fulfillment of the prophecy. We must embrace this opportunity." As the debate raged on, Alex felt a gentle touch on her arm. She turned to see Lyra, concern etched on her ethereal features. "I fear our desperation has made us forget our hospitality," Lyra said softly. "Come, let us step outside for a moment." Grateful for the reprieve, Alex followed Lyra to a balcony overlooking the city. The cool alien air helped clear her head, and she took a moment to marvel at the view. Despite the tension inside, Luna Prime was a vision of otherworldly beauty. "I apologize for the council's behavior," Lyra said. "You must understand, our situation has grown dire. Many see your arrival as our last hope." Alex sighed, running a hand through her short, dark hair. "I get it, I do. But I'm just one person. I can't be responsible for saving an entire species." Lyra's expression softened. "Perhaps not alone. But together, we might find a solution that benefits both our peoples." She hesitated, then added, "There's something else you should know. Not all luminaries support the idea of seeking help from an outsider. There are factions forming." As if on cue, a commotion erupted from the council chamber. Alex and Lyra rushed back inside to find Zara and Naya in a heated confrontation. "We cannot allow the Star Traveler free rein," Zara was saying, her voice tight with barely contained anger. "The potential risks are too great. She must be contained and studied under strict security protocols." Naya's blue skin rippled with indignation. "Contained? She's not a lab specimen, Zara. She's a sentient being who may hold the key to our survival. We should be welcoming her with open arms, not treating her like a threat." The argument escalated, with more council members taking sides. Alex watched with growing unease as the Luminary Society seemed to fracture before her eyes. She caught snippets of heated debates about security versus scientific progress, the interpretation of the prophecy, and the potential consequences of integrating alien DNA into their population. Unable to stand idle any longer, Alex stepped forward. "Enough," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. The chamber fell silent, all eyes once again turning to her. "I understand that my presence here has caused a great deal of upheaval," Alex began, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "But arguing amongst yourselves won't solve anything. I'm willing to help, but on my own terms. I won't be a prisoner, and I won't submit to any experiments without my full understanding and consent." She took a deep breath, then continued. "In return, I ask for your help in repairing my ship and contacting my people. Earth has advanced medical and genetic technology of our own. If we work together, share knowledge, perhaps we can find a solution that benefits everyone." The council chamber was silent for a long moment as the luminary processed her words. Then, slowly, voices began to rise in agreement. Even Zara looked grudgingly impressed by Alex's diplomacy. The silver-skinned elder who had spoken earlier rose to her feet. "The Star Traveler speaks wisdom," she declared. "We have allowed our fears and desperation to cloud our judgment. I propose we form a joint committee, security, science, and diplomacy, to work with Alexandra of Earth. Together, we shall seek a path forward." As the council voted to approve the proposal, Alex felt a small measure of relief, but she knew this was only the beginning. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, political minefields, and the weight of an entire species' hopes resting on her shoulders. Looking out at the alien faces surrounding her, some hopeful, some suspicious, all desperate for a solution, Alex steeled herself for what was to come. She was millions of light years from home, caught in the middle of an alien crisis. but she was also a representative of humanity, and she was determined to show the Luminari the best of what her species had to offer. With a mix of trepidation and determination, Alex prepared to take her first steps into this new role, a bridge between two worlds, and perhaps the key to saving them both. In the weeks that followed, Alex found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. The joint committee formed by the High Council worked tirelessly to balance the various factions' interests while pursuing a solution to the Luminaries' crisis. Alex split her time between assisting Naya in the genetics lab, working with Luminari engineers to salvage technology from her crashed ship, and navigating the complex political landscape of her new alien home. As she worked closely with various Luminari, Alex began to form unexpected connections. Naya's enthusiasm for science was infectious, and Alex found herself engrossed in long discussions about the differences between human and Luminari biology. The blue-skinned geneticist's quick mind and genuine passion for discovery reminded Alex of her academy days back on Earth. One evening, as they pored over genetic data, Naya looked up at Alex with shimmering eyes. "I never thought I'd say this to an alien, but I'm glad you're here, Alexandra. Your perspective, your knowledge, it's invaluable." Alex felt a warmth spread through her chest. "I'm glad too, Naya. And please call me Alex. All my friends do." Naya's skin rippled with joy at the word friends, and Alex realized that despite their alien nature, the Luminari were not so different in their need for connection. Even Zara, initially so suspicious, began to warm to Alex's presence. The head of security insisted on personally overseeing Alex's integration into Luminari society, which led to them spending considerable time together. Alex found Zara's no-nonsense attitude refreshing amidst the often overwhelming alien culture. During a combat training session, Zara had insisted Alex learn to defend herself using Luminari techniques. The golden-skinned warrior paused, studying Alex intently. "You continued to surprise me, Alex of Earth," Zara said, using the informal name for the first time. "Your adaptability, your willingness to learn our ways. Perhaps I judged you too hastily." Alex grinned, wiping sweat from her brow. "Does this mean you'll stop throwing me to the ground quite so hard?" Zara's laughter, rich and unexpected, filled the training room. "Not a chance, Star Traveler. But perhaps I'll show you how to avoid it more effectively." As days turned to weeks, Alex found herself growing more comfortable in her role as a bridge between cultures. She worked tirelessly with Naya and the science team, combining human genetic knowledge with Luminari technology in ways neither species had considered before. Progress was slow, but promising. However, not all was smooth sailing. A vocal minority of Luminari, led by a firebrand named Vex, continued to oppose Alex's presence and the changes it brought. They argued that relying on alien assistance would dilute the purity of Luminari culture and genetics. Tensions came to a head during a public forum where Alex was presenting the latest research findings. As she explained a promising new approach to gene therapy, a commotion erupted in the back of the hall. "Lies." Vex's voice rang out, her crimson skin flushed with anger. "This outsider seeks to corrupt our very essence. We cannot trust her or her alien science." Before anyone could react, Vex lunged forward, a strange energy weapon materializing in her hand. Time seemed to slow as Alex saw the weapon's muzzle swing towards her. In that moment, she realized how much she had come to care for this alien world and its people. Suddenly, a golden blur intercepted Vex. Zara tackled the assailant, disarming her with a swift, precise movement. As security forces swarmed in, Alex locked eyes with Zara. The unspoken message was clear: "I've got your back." In the aftermath of the attack, Alex found herself in a quiet garden with Lyra, trying to process what had happened. The First Guardian's presence was calming, her gentle wisdom a balm for Alex's frayed nerves. "I'm sorry you had to experience that," Lyra said softly. "Vex and her followers are a small but vocal minority. Most Luminari have come to see you as a beacon of hope. Alex sighed, running a hand through her hair. I understand their fear. Change is never easy, especially when it comes from an outside source. But I'm not here to replace or erase luminary culture. I just want to help. Laura placed a comforting hand on Alex's shoulder, her touch sending a small tingle of alien energy through the human's body. And you are helping, more than you know, not just with our genetic crisis, but by showing us a new way of thinking, of adapting. As they sat in companionable silence, watching the crystal flora pulse with inner light, Alex felt a profound shift within herself. She had come to Lumina as an accidental visitor, a reluctant savior. But now she realized she had become something more. She was a part of this world, invested in its future. The path ahead was still uncertain, fraught with scientific challenges and political pitfalls. But as Alex looked out at the shimmering alien landscape, she felt a surge of determination. She would find a way to help the Luminari, not just because of some prophecy, but because she had come to care for these people, this world. With renewed purpose, Alex stood, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She was no longer just Commander Alexandra Chen of the Earth Exploration Course. She was Alex, friend of the Luminari, a bridge between worlds, and perhaps, just perhaps, the key to a brighter future for both their species. As months passed on Lumina, Alex's life fell into a rhythm that blended the alien and the familiar. Her days were filled with genetic research alongside Naya, combat training with Zara, and diplomatic meetings with Lyra and the High Council. But despite their progress, a sense of urgency hung over the city like a storm about to break. One evening, as Alex was reviewing data in her quarters, an alarm blared through the crystal spires of Lumina Prime. She rushed to the command center, joining Zara and Lyra as they coordinated the city's response to an unfolding crisis. "What's happening?" Alex asked, her heart racing. Zara's golden skin was taut with tension. A massive solar flare from the blue sun. "Our shields are failing, and the radiation levels are rising rapidly." Lyra's eyes were wide with fear. If the shields collapse completely, the effects on our already fragile genetics could be catastrophic. Alex's mind raced. The Luminari's advanced technology was impressive, but their dependence on it had left them vulnerable. "What about evacuation?" she asked. Zara shook her head grimly. "There's no time and nowhere to go. The flare will affect the entire planet." As panic began to spread through the city, Alex felt a sudden flash of inspiration. "Wait," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "What if we combine our technologies? Earth's radiation shielding might not be as advanced, but it's designed to work without external power." Naya, who had just arrived, her blue skin pale with worry, caught on quickly. "If we could integrate that with our existing shields, we might be able to buy enough time to weather the storm," Zara finished, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. What followed was a frantic race against time. Alex worked alongside the Luminari scientists and engineers, her hands flying over alien controls as they jury-rigged a hybrid shielding system. She drew on every scrap of knowledge from her Earth training, combining it with what she'd learned of Luminari tech. As radiation levels continued to rise, tensions in the city reached a boiling point. Vex and her followers saw the crisis as vindication of their fears, claiming that Alex's presence had angered the very stars themselves. They demanded her expulsion from the planet, even in the face of certain doom. But for every voice raised in fear and anger, there were others who rallied behind Alex and the joint human luminary effort. Ordinary citizens joined the work crews, following Alex's instructions to retrofit buildings with makeshift shielding. Hours ticked by in a blur of activity. Alex's muscles ached, her eyes burned from lack of sleep, but she pushed on. The fate of an entire civilization hung in the balance, and she was determined not to let them down. Just as it seemed that efforts might be in vain, with radiation alarms screaming and the sky above burning an ominous purple, something remarkable happened. The hybrid shield snapped into place with a sound like 1,000 crystal bells ringing at once. A shimmering dome of energy enveloped Lumina Prime, a swirling mix of luminary iridescence and the steady blue glow of Earth technology. For a breathless moment, everyone waited. Would it hold? Then gradually, the alarms began to quiet. Radiation levels stabilized, then started to drop. "It's working," Naya breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "By the Celestial Mothers, it's actually working." A cheer went up from the crowd, gathered in the command center, spreading quickly through the city. Alex felt herself enveloped in a group hug, the alien warmth of luminary bodies pressed against her in gratitude and relief. As the immediate danger passed and the cleanup efforts began, Alex found herself standing on a balcony overlooking the city with Lyra, Zara, and Naya. The sky above was still a maelstrom of cosmic energy, but the hybrid shield held strong, its swirling patterns a testament to what their two species could accomplish together. "You did it, Alex," Lyra said softly. "You saved us all." Alex shook her head, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. "We did it. All of us working together. That's the real miracle here." Zara nodded, a newfound respect in her eyes. Perhaps this is what the prophecy truly meant. Not just genetic salvation, but a new way forward for our people. As they stood there, watching the shielded city weather the stellar storm, Alex felt a profound sense of belonging. She had come to Lumina as an outsider, a reluctant savior. But in facing this crisis, in combining the best of both their worlds, she had found her place. The road ahead was still long. The genetic crisis remained unsolved, and there would undoubtedly be more challenges to face. But as Alex looked at her alien friends, at the city they had saved together, she knew that they could face whatever came next. Human and luminary, Earth and alien, they were stronger together than they ever could have been apart. And in that moment, under the swirling light of the hybrid shield, the future looked brighter than ever before. In the aftermath of the solar flare crisis, Lumina Prime was transformed. The hybrid shield, born from the fusion of Earth and luminary technologies, stood as a shining symbol of what could be achieved through cooperation. The event marked a turning point not just in the planet's defenses, but in the very fabric of luminary society. Alex found herself at the center of a cultural shift. Where once she had been viewed with suspicion or desperate hope, she was now hailed as a hero by many. The success of the hybrid shield had opened minds to the possibilities of integrating human knowledge with luminary wisdom. In the genetics lab, Naya made a breakthrough. Inspired by the shield's success, she proposed a radical new approach to solving the reproductive crisis. "What if," she posited excitedly to Alex and the research team, "instead of trying to fix our genetics entirely, we create a hybrid solution, a way to combine the stability of human DNA with our own?" The implications were staggering. It would mean fundamental changes to future generations of luminari, but it also offered hope where before there had been none. The High Council debated fiercely, with some embracing the idea and others fearing the loss of their species' purity. Alex, drawing on her experiences and the trust she had built, addressed the council. "Change can be frightening," she acknowledged, her voice carrying across the chamber. "But it can also be the key to survival, to growth. The shield protecting your world right now is neither fully luminary nor fully human. It's something new, something stronger. Perhaps your future could be the same." Her words resonated, tipping the scales in favor of pursuing Naya's hybrid solution. As work began on this new project, Alex found her days busier than ever. She split her time between the genetics lab, diplomatic meetings, and continuing efforts to repair her ship and establish contact with Earth. Months turned into a year, then two. The hybrid genetics program showed promising results, with the first successful birth of a child carrying both luminary and human DNA markers celebrated across the planet. The infant, named Nova, became a symbol of hope and new beginnings. As for Alex, she had become fully integrated into luminary society. Her relationships with Naya, Zara, and Lyra deepened into strong bonds of friendship and mutual respect. she found herself picking up luminary mannerisms, her skin taking on a slight iridescent sheen from long-term exposure to the planet's unique radiation. But Earth was never far from her thoughts. Working with luminary engineers, she finally managed to retrofit her ship's communication systems. The day the first message was sent back to Earth was one of mixed emotions: joy at re-establishing contact, anxiety about how her long absence would be perceived. The response, when it came weeks later, was a mix of relief, scientific curiosity, and cautious diplomacy. Earth wanted to know more about the luminary, about the advancements Alex had been part of. There was talk of sending a proper diplomatic mission. As preparations for first contact between Earth and Lumina began in earnest, Alex found herself in a familiar garden with Lyra, Naya, and Zara. The four of them had become an inseparable team, each bringing their unique strengths to bear in shaping the future of Lumina. "It's really happening," Alex said, a note of wonder in her voice. "Two worlds coming together." Naya's blue skin rippled with excitement. "Thanks to you, Alex. You've changed everything." Zara nodded, her usual stoic demeanor softened by a small smile. "When you first arrived, I saw you as a threat. Now, I see you as the best hope for both our peoples." Lyra, ever the voice of wisdom, added, "The prophecy spoke of a savior from the stars, but I don't think any of us truly understood what that meant until now. You didn't just save us, Alex. You showed us a new way to see ourselves and our place in the universe." Alex felt a swell of emotion. "I couldn't have done any of it without all of you. We did this together." As they sat there, watching the twin suns set behind the crystal spires of Lumina Prime, Alex reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. She had crashed on this world as a lost explorer and found a new home, a new purpose. The future was uncertain. There would be challenges in bringing Earth and Lumina together, in continuing to address the Luminary's genetic crisis, in balancing progress with cultural preservation. But as Alex looked at her friends, at the thriving city around them, she felt ready to face whatever came next. She was no longer just Commander Alexandra Chen of Earth, nor was she the prophesied savior of Lumina. She was something new, a bridge between worlds, a catalyst for change, and a symbol of what could be achieved when different peoples came together in a spirit of cooperation and hope. As the first stars began to twinkle in Lumina's alien sky, Alex smiled. Her greatest adventure, she realized, was only just beginning.